Hello everyone, this is your prom king, Grower Cleveland here, with a message for the students and faculty at Wrangell Shanghai. Have a groovy summer. Also, you can follow Ryan O'Connor at Wrangell Shank on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.
It's time for Ink the Book Show with your host, Ryan O'Connor. And now, let's ink the book.
Howdy do, people.
Welcome to Ink the Book Show, my dang near daily comic drawing show, where I, Ryan O'Connor, ink my book, Bonehead. So today it's page 135, which I'm sarcastic about because it's farther than that. I just don't know exactly how far. And we're going to like 250 pages where the book kind of lands, somewhere around there. And yeah, now usually I do the show a bit earlier than this, but I fell asleep this evening and took like a 4-hour nap, maybe longer, because my sleep is all jacked up. And after a couple days, it's gonna be really weird again. So we'll see what transpires from here. I haven't drawn anything yet today. Usually I've done like a sketchbook drawing. I was doing some I was getting started on coloring some images, some old comic art digitally, I'm going to start practicing that in anticipation for coloring this comic in the next few months. That's down the line. But I'm just trying to wet my whistle, get my feet wet. That's it. What else? Guys, it snowed today. It was snowing like Christmas morning today. I thought winter was over. You know, at the beginning of winter, you always hear all these quacks saying, global warming, look, winter isn't here, it's November. Like I heard Jim Gaffigan freaking out. He's like, I thought it got cold in the winter on Twitter in like the beginning of November. Then 2 days later, there was like, it started snowing here. It's like, cool it, everybody. It'll come. Now it won't go away. So I'm just saying. I don't know what I'm saying. Welcome, everybody. Let's draw. Now, this camera is broken. I don't trust Logitech. Even though they're like the #1 recommended thing, the mounting part of their cameras is whack. So, whack, that's right. I'm from the ding dang 80s, 90s. I was born in 87, so I'm a 90s kid. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't pour no ink. Let me go get a little... See, I always start the show before I'm ready, because if I don't, I'll never be ready. So I've got my Speedball ink, super black India ink. And barring a catastrophe, this 132-ounce bottle should last me a whole 250-page book. Catastrophes such as knocking my ink over and ruining my carpet and destroying the house. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. You know, there's a while where I had clogged up the little spout, so I'd have to take the whole dang cap off and pour my ink. And I was just so, because I can be so clumsy, I was so terrified that while I was pouring the ink every day, that I was just gonna drop it or knock it over and just wreck my clothes, house, and life. But then I found a new cap to replace the top of that one, and I don't have to pray quite so hard when I pour the ink every day. I'm going to turn this light on to the situation so I can see a little better. Ooh, I also might run out the room to heat up more water for my next cup of tea. It's just outside the door here. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. Now we're cooking with chicken. So my roommates went to Israel. They got there this morning-ish. Maybe this afternoon, I don't know. When did he text me? It was a long flight. So they left the house at 3:30 yesterday p.m. And then I think they had to get on the flight by 9. So I think they went to my one roommate's parents' house and got a ride to the airport. They wanted to get there by 5. And then the flight was at 9. I'm trying to get this thing to focus as I'm talking. There we are. The flight was at 9 p.m. And then I think they went to Istanbul and then took a second flight from Istanbul to Israel. They're going there for a wedding. When did he text me that they arrived? I think it was at like 4 o'clock. Yeah, at 4 o'clock he says, my buddy Tyler goes, "Hey, just to let you know, we're alive and at the hotel in Israel." And, well, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. He's been drinking these. So it's time to get used to this business for the next week. Ephes Pilsner, the Mediterranean beer. I'm so jealous. But he missed this Christmas snow in April. So in the meantime, I'm cat sitting the cat that lives in this house, which I only usually ever just tease and not much else. I don't deal with her. I don't feed her usually, or I don't know. Our only interaction is usually her wandering through the room when I've closed her in here unknowingly, and then she just meows or walks past me and I freak out because I didn't know she was in here. I'll be drawing for like 2 hours or something in total silence, and then all of a sudden I hear meow. I'm like, ah! I didn't know anyone was in here with me. That's our relationship usually. But now this week I'm cat sitting, and I woke up to meow 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 meow. I was like trying to turn off alarms on my phone, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's another corporeal being living in this house with me. And I look at her food dish. I think I remember this last time. It was just me and her, Arya. There's a pile of food that was left for her before my roommates left yesterday afternoon that she has not touched. But I gave her some wet food and some treats. I think that quelled her. Well, it seemed like that was good. Then she started whining again. Oh, I think that's when I gave her the treats. And I think she's been quiet ever since. Like, there's a whole mess of food upstairs with your name on it. Cats, am I right? Can't live with them. Can't put them in a sack and throw that sack in the river. Don't tell my roommates I said that. It'll be just a secret between everyone and us. So what else is happening? So it's. I wonder if it's still snowing. No, it's not snowing, but there is a fresh blanket of snow on the ground this fine April 2nd. I remember thinking ever since I was a kid that it seems like winter is shifting. be later and later in the year. I'm surprised I would think that when I was a kid, because how much could it have shifted? But it does kind of seem like that now that I'm older. That it's a little later than it used to be. You know, for the past like 200 years or something. 8 million years. What do I know? Since dinosaurs roamed the earth, winter was solid clean over by the end of February. I don't know what I'm talking about. Though, of course, the dinosaurs called February. I don't know why they were so mad about it. Fingers, fingers, drawing some fingers all day. So here's Denton Crux. He too is on planet Montana now. Right after sending, well, shortly after sending Bonehead there. So this is one of our antagonists. This is the bad guy. Denton Crux. He's the owner of the poison factory that Bonehead works at. And he just teleported this alien Billy TV. He's not on this page. Billy TV back to his home planet, and he sent Bonehead with him to get them out of his hair, knowing that they wouldn't really have a way of getting back. I just read another chapter of Flatland. This tiny little book here, which in a way is one of my favorite books. Oh, there's no echo. Yeah, I rigged up my hey, what love? I rigged up one of the broken cameras. I've got it like tied to the mount with rubber bands until I return it and get it exchanged for a new one. Which, yeah, I wasn't able to do the way I did the last one for some reason. So I'm just holding on to it for a little while longer. That was a nightmare. I didn't want to do that again. How is life in Canada? Are you still getting snow? We're a winter wonderland today. Here in Chicago-ish. Here in Illinois, I should say. Not really in the city. Canada is weird right now? How so? It's monsoon season. Let's see. It's like -1 degrees sometimes, so snow is melting. Yikes. But then the next morning everything is frozen and you see people falling around while walking. See, I can't complain about the weather because I know my Canadian friends have much more to complain about than us in the Midwest US. Me and my millions of alarms. What? These are all alarms I sometimes turn on my phone. Oh, there's another one. I thought I turned that one off. I'm mental. I'm mental. This is a 24-hour period. -1. So when does it usually start warming up for you? I feel like April is an outlier for as far as cold months go. Like I know, I remember it snowing on St. Patrick's Day one year, the 17th of March, when I was a kid, and that being the last time it snowed for the year, but even that was late. And I know I've had snow in April before. But usually that's about as late as it gets. Sometimes still in June there's a bit of snow on the ground. Dang. I don't think I've ever seen snow in June. I don't think I've ever seen snow in May. No, I've never seen snow in May or June. Let's see. What's I gonna do? Liam was trying to get me to do a recorded, what do you call it, Just episode today. That's his little video podcast thing that we do sometimes, where we just make fun of stuff we see on Twitter, usually. And I was waiting to hear from him about it, and then fell asleep and took a 4-hour nap. But I think him and my other brother Mike might be coming over here tomorrow. He wants to do skits to throw into the show, I think. So we might film some new stuff tomorrow. I don't know what, though. Also, I might try and get to a library tomorrow to see if I can scan these pages any more successfully. Otherwise, you know what I can always do? I can scan half a page at a time on the scanner here in my house, stitch them together in Photoshop, and put my pages together that way. That sounds tedious to me, though. Like a little more tedious than I'd like to do for 250 pages, but if it comes to that, that's always on the table. At the end of this comic, we put all the pages together so it looks like a book. Yeah, I my intention is to get this made into a physical book. So at 250 pages, let me see. I always kind of look at this as an example. This is one of my favorite books by Doug TenNapel. And this book is, so that'd be a 250 page book right there. And this one goes up to 283 or so. That's a good book. Cardboard by Doug TenNapel. this guy, he's out of, he works in construction, but he can't find any work. And it's his son's birthday. He wants to get him something, but he doesn't have any money. So he stops by this little guy at the side of the road is selling toys. And he stops to see if he can afford anything with the change in his pocket. And all he can afford from that guy is just this cardboard box. So he buys the cardboard box and decides they can make something together. And they make a boxer man out of the cardboard. But that night, the guy comes to life because it's magic cardboard. And yeah, it's a really cool book. Let's see. Are you done with, like, you know, the first cover of the book? Yeah. Have you not seen the cover? I think I even showed it on here yesterday. Let me see. I just put it away today, actually. So this is the cover, and I have a logo somewhere that I can superimpose onto it. So it's going to be like logo up here. Like, I might even bring this in a little bit. And then my name down here. And then here's the back cover. And it might have like a blurb up here or something. And this is actually kind of an image that I inked already somewhere in the book, sort of. But I kind of copied his image here for the back cover. Well, thank you. Yeah, so I did all these lead-in pages. There's that's kind of something I got from Doug's Naple. I did a bunch of lead-in and lead-out pages on this book. So, like, if you look at these, like, this is Creature Tech. This is the first one I read of his, and it's also his first big graphic novel that he did. He always does all these, like, dramatic, kind of moody, stylistic lead-in pages. It's usually for, like, the dedication, the title page, and then the story starts. And I think at the end, this is the color edition of this book. The first, oh no, not so much at the end, but I did a bunch at the end as well. Though I think the only back page I've inked so far is just the back cover. Oops. And that's why I'm not that's part of the reason I'm not entirely sure how many pages. Well, before I started inking this book, including those pages, it was 127, but I've added pages since then. Oh, sorry, not 100, 227. If it was 127, I'd be done by now, inking. Man, I wanted to be done inking the book by, I think originally I was saying the end of April. But then I think I was revising it to the end of May. And I don't know if I'll be done with the next 100 pages by the end of May. Especially since I have to fix a handful of pages. I gotta kind of revise the end of the book a bit. So I'm thinking it might be more like the end of June that I finish inking this. Yeah, I think by the end of June I should be done inking all the pages. Tomorrow I'm gonna try and look into some way of scanning in the pages reliably. I should have been able to do it at the library here by my house, but it wasn't sending me the files like it's supposed to. Their system is supposed to email it to you. I even brought a drive that I could just put the files on, but they weren't equipped to do that. So I'm gonna try and go to a different library tomorrow. See if I can do anything that way there, because I think they have better I think they probably have more traffic that would be looking for services like that, like digital services. So it's just I'm not in their like jurisdiction anymore, so I've been hesitant about going out there. I don't want to just show up and use their stuff, and then they'll be like, wait a minute, you don't have a library card here, a valid library card here. And then I can't get one either. But I don't think you need one to do stuff like that. But I'm gonna see if I can go with my sister tomorrow, just in case. Because I don't want to drop a ton of money on a scanner right now. But if I find a cheap one, and I know you can find pretty cheap ones, like large format scanners, 11 by 17 scanners. But every time I go looking for one online, first of all, it pulls up every scanner under the sun that will print up to 11 by 17 instead of scan. And then when I find one that actually does scan, it's like $500 or more. But I know you can find them for real cheap. It's just I haven't done it, or I haven't found one yet that was going to work out for me. Okay, this door. Oh, and then after I scan it, I can start doing the lettering and the coloring. And I was practicing coloring an old comic this morning a little bit for about an hour, so I didn't get too far. but I'm figuring out what I'm gonna need to, like, how to kind of get my process started at least. You say, what's the name of my brother that does music? Are you talking about Liam? I guess they all kind of do music. Oh yeah, Liam. That is the one you're talking about. Yeah. Liam's like the most active about doing music, and he has stuff out there that you can listen to. My other brothers don't really, like, I don't know what their stuff, like what they end up doing with it these days. But yeah, Liam, I was trying to get him to come in here, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna come over here tomorrow. We're gonna try and film some stuff together. Though I might not have responded to him. I'll make sure he knows. Whew. Oh yeah. Liam's everyone's favorite. I used to have that energy. And then I died inside. Now I'm just Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Hey, Pooh. That's why I want him on here all the time. He's got good energy. But he never comes on anymore lately. He's too mean. I like the fact that you're calm and doing lines perfectly, and he's so random. Yeah. Yeah, Liam's been a nut ever since he was born. There's a picture in my parents' house of him sitting on there's the dishwasher. The door is open, so like lying out. He's sitting on top of it, and in the door there's like a compartment for like utensils, and he's holding a bunch of forks, and then you see there's a bunch of forks scattered all over the floor below him. And he's just like looking like a like a grouch about forks or something. Like he's clearly just pulled out all the forks and thrown them all over the floor. And when he was a kid, he always used to make jokes about turkeys and Bill Cosby. He would just throw turkeys and Bill Cosby into everything he was talking about, because he thought those were funny words or something. And I always used to make fun of him for having an upside down pyramid head. I always used to tell him he had a huge head. Because he kind of did. But he would get really upset about that. Now he's grown into it a bit. I should just take a bunch of pictures of photos around my parents' house of me and Liam. Next time I go there. And I'll show them off on here sometime. You'll see little baby Ryan and little baby Liam. Whoa. Where the heck is Let Me Sleep lately? I haven't seen her in forever. I miss Let Me Sleep. Yeah. Let's see. Jiminy Christmas. 45 minutes in. And I'm still on the first panel. It's a pretty involved first panel. Mean Mr. Mustard sleeps in the park, shaves in the dark, trying to save paper. Sleeps in a hole in the road, saving up to buy him some clothes. He's such a mean old man. Such a dirty old man. His sister Pam works in the shop. She never stops. She's a go-getter. I don't know why I have Mean Mr. Mustard stuck in my head. But that is one of my favorite Beatles songs. As short and weird as it is. Let's see. You should see Polythene Pam. I like that whole little medley in the middle of Sgt. Pepper's? Or is it Abbey Road? I want to say it's Abbey Road. Yeah. Me and my dad were just watching a little bit of. My dad just got his hands on the, what do you call it, Disney Plus, and we were watching a little bit of. He was showing me a little bit of the first part of Get Back. Is that what it's called? I think. Yeah, Get Back. Whatever that documentary is called, and I asked my mom, who is not watching because she barely watches any TV. I was like, Mom, which Beatle is your favorite? Which Beatle did you have a crush on? She's like, none of them. I didn't like any of them. I hated the Beatles. It's like, I guess I get that in a way that, like, usually the popular thing of the day is kind of the thing I'm least interested in. So I imagine growing up with the Beatles and everyone's like manic about the Beatles, it kind of probably would have put me off. Also, like, my dad has always been into Queen a whole lot, and I never really got into Queen because it was like it was always around, and I didn't really care too much about them. But I mean, I know, like, I hear Queen music and I'm like, holy crap, that's they are truly amazing. I just don't need to hear it. But I remember my dad was going with me to a They Might Be Giants show one time. So I put on the newest album at the time, and I was like, oh, this one's one of my favorite songs. Like, while we were driving out there, I was putting on the album that they were promoting at the time, you know? So, because I was like, they're going to be playing this song and this song and this song and this song. So I was kind of like prepping my dad with the material, right? And It's like, oh, here's one of my favorite songs. And he's like, it just kind of sounds the same all the way through the song. Like, yeah, shut up. That song. So the album at the time was The Else, and the song was The Captain, which he's not wrong. And that is not one of my favorite albums of theirs. It's probably one of my least favorite albums of theirs. Not that it's terrible exactly, but what are songs I could probably never get tired of? Ooh, I could go on and on about this, I'm sure. Songs I will never get tired of. There's a song by the DBs called Spy in the House of Love I really like. There's Someone Should Tell You All About the Earth. So yeah, Spy in the House of Love by the DBs. There's one I really like. I had heard it before this, but it was in the background of an M&M's commercial a number of years ago, like maybe 10 years ago or so. And I really, like, I decided to check it out, and it's one of my favorite songs ever since. It's called This Is the Day by the band called The. This Is the Day. And that one I always put on my birthday. But I put it on a lot. That song I will never get tired of. What else? Let's see. On Spotify, I have this playlist called The Good Stuff. And it's just any good song I can think of, I put on there. Look, two of the first songs I dropped in there were This Is the Day and Spy in the House of Love. Ooh, there's a song by Adam Ant called Apollo 9 that I really like. The Toadies, Tyler. There's a fun song called Ruler of Everything. I saw this band live. They're called Tally Hall. I saw them do that song live. They opened for They Might Be Giants at my first They Might Be Giants show, which was at a zoo. Ruler of Everything is really fun. Oh, I was just singing this song yesterday. It's called Ding Dong by Nellie McKay. And that song I've been listening to over the past like 15 years. And for some reason, it's been getting stuck in my head all week. Probably because I'm cat sitting. And she sings about a dead cat. My cat died and I quickly poured myself some gin. Did she die from old age or was it for my sins? God, I loved her oh so much, miss her little kitty touch. Does she miss me? Does she care? And then the next line, whatever that is. There's one by Andrew Bird that I really love called Nervous Tick Motion of the Head to the Left. I heard it on the radio when I was maybe a teenager still. I really liked it. He has another song called Fake Palindromes that I really like. I like the Strokes song called You Only Live Once. The Yeah Yeah Yeahs. The whole album, what is it called? Show Your Bones. I remember when that came out, and that is one of my favorite albums of all time. What's another album I really like? So I was always a big fan of Blink-182. And then at one point, Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker had like a side project going. They put out an album called Boxcar Racer. Like that's the band name and the album name. Allegedly, there's new Boxcar Racer stuff that might come out someday. Which I'm not, I'm not waiting for it because it's kind of self-contained and perfect, if you ask me. There's the one song on it that's called My First Punk Song that I'm not as wild about. I never was. But it doesn't ruin the album for me at all. I think the Boxcar Racer album is one of my favorites. Why do I have 10 million alarms? It's because it's mostly because my work schedule is so it's like not a set schedule. So I work different shifts every once in a while, and I'll set an alarm on my phone to wake up or otherwise I set alarms on my phone just so I don't forget stuff, and then I only need it once, and then I never delete that alarm or something, or I might need it for a while. I don't know why I have alarms going off at 9 and 9:30. I don't know. It's sometimes I would set alarms on my phone to remind me to stop what I'm doing and go to bed, because I don't like to go to bed. I'll just stay up all night. Though they don't work, I just turn them off and ignore them and proceed to not go to bed. I should really go through that and delete most of them, almost all of them. Also, if I take naps, I'll set an alarm. I don't know. What was I gonna say? Oh, what are some songs that you never get tired of? What Love? I think that playlist that it's called The Good Stuff that I made on Spotify, I think that's public. I think people can check that out. I think it's the same name as everywhere, Wrangle Shank. I don't know how Spotify really works. I don't know if you can look that up easily, but I think my brother and sister joined that, or like they followed that list. It's like over 6 hours of music. Maybe the songs of Lame Pal? Lama Pal. Is that a... Whoa! I didn't mean to turn on music. I just turned on a song called Pretty Wild by Mike Doty. It's French. I will maybe look into that. Trying to think if I know any French music. I'm not sure I do. Oh, there's I know I was listening to April March for a little bit when I was in high school, because she did that Chick Habit song. There's also a French version of it. That was on the Grindhouse soundtrack. And I really liked that because it sounds like Batman, like old 60s Batman music or something. What else? There was, I believe, Pink Martini had some French songs. I used to listen to this album, Hang On Little Tomato. And while they're not French, I always used to listen to the title track of that album, and my favorite song was called Clementine. That's one that'll never get old to me. But yeah, I used to listen to those two a bit more. Though I don't know if the French songs particularly got listened to by me very much. It's French. Oh, you're heading out. See you later, what love. Thanks for stopping by. Good talking to you. Good to hear from you. Man, I can't believe it's been an hour and oh no, I guess I did move on from the first panel. So that's something. I think he's supposed to have these cuffs. So what else? What else in this life of mine? So I was reading Flatland, where so far I just read chapter 6, where the main character, who is a square named A Square, he is kind of explaining what life is like in Flatland. And he's describing the inhabitants and how they see and how they feel, like how they recognize one another, and distinguish different shapes from each other in Flatland, because all they see is straight lines. Because, like, in a two-dimensional world, they're seeing on the plane, like, all they see is like the edge of the paper. Because they're on the level, you know what I mean? And then so they describe how he's describing how they like kind of determine other people, like how they like introduce each other by like feeling each other, and how they can kind of distinguish different people from one another. The chapter I was just reading, he describes how like shadows play into it. Like the point will be nearest, or the face that's nearest will be brighter, but then the receding sides, like on a triangle here, the receding sides will have shadows. Like this is a part. This is what they see. They just see the straight line. Like if this was lying on its side, like take this Adam Carolla head, for example. It's two-dimensional. But if you're like lying down on the ground looking at this edge of him, no matter which side, you'll just see a straight line. But these sides will be in more shadow, so he's kind of like explaining that in the chapter I read today. So basically, the first part, the book is broken into two parts, and in the first part, he's basically just telling you how Flatland works, and like they've got like a class system, and he kind of explains the weather and like how do they know what direction they're going. He explains that kind of like here, everything is kind of like based on our world here in the 3 dimensions, and it's like this kind of like made up fictional, very thought out universe that Edwin A. Abbott has made up for this book. But he, like in Flatland, there's a natural, what did he call it? A natural draw southward or something like that. Like, and he talks about how you feel it less in certain climates, but it's like gravity. You feel the draw southward, kind of like we have gravity that pulls us down. So does Flatland. But then the second part of the book deals less with the nature of Flatland, and it talks about his encounter with Spaceland. So A Square is confronted with a sphere from Spaceland, which he can barely wrap his head around. He can't understand at first, but then I think he goes to Spaceland and sees things in the 3rd dimension for the first time. And the whole book is kind of like an exploration of how we might begin to think about the 4th dimension. And it's funny because it's like the sphere from Spaceland is kind of elucidating all these high thinking ideas, these big ideas about like, oh, you silly square, you don't realize that the universe is much more elaborate than just your 2 dimensions. And he is explaining how the 3rd dimension works and how they can look down and see the insides of all the shapes in Flatland. But then I think A square says something like, "Oh, and you." Now I haven't read part 2 of the book yet. I'm only on chapter 6 of part 1, but I did read this in college. But my memory is not very vivid on it. But I think A square says something like, "Wow, and I wonder if there's further dimensions still, like a 4th, 5th, or 6th dimension." And the spear is like laughing at him, like, no, it's just 3 dimensions. Trust me. It's like he's as naive as the square once was. And even though he's teaching him that there's more to existence than he realizes. There's like a whole nother plane of existence. He thinks his plane is the end all be all. But it kind of implies that a 4th dimension would be like one where if you were to step outside yourself, you would be able to see inside everything. You would be able to see inside and outside of everything. You'd kind of be able to look down on everything at once. Or look, it would seem like you were like omnipresent or something. And I've heard that there's speculation that there are something like 11 dimensions in total. They believe. The 11th dimension what are the 10 dimensions of reality? Let me look at this. So there's length, width, depth, and then we get to 4th, time. So length, width, depth over time. And then 5th is probability. So that's time, and then you draw out from time to different scenarios. Okay. Okay, this is a weird one. 6, all possible universes branching from the same start conditions. That sounds parallel to the last one, though. That sounds pretty... I don't know. 7. All possible spectrums of universes with different start conditions. Okay. But can those coexist? I don't know. That sounds confusing. This is going to get worse. 8. A plane of all possible universes, different start conditions. All right. Whatever. 9. Direct movement from one multiverse to another non-adjacent multiverse with different start conditions. 10 infinite possibilities. And now let's see what that suggested 11th one is. The 11th dimension is a characteristic of space-time that has been proposed as a possible answer to the question that arise in superstring theory. The theory of superstrings involves the existence of 9 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, a total of 10 dimensions. I'm not even gonna try understanding anything beyond this drawing right now. Chop your head off, be a lighter person, brighter person, nicer, but you've heard it all before. So ding dong, there's the doorbell, hello man in white, he's gonna make you all well, get you through the night. But hey now, you don't feel better as you take your fresh bromide. Maybe that man of letters lied. Oh, doesn't Regina Spektor do some French music? I like Regina Spektor. I've only listened to like a small handful of her music, but I really like her. Stick around 1 minute more. I'm smarter than you think. Do I sound like an old bore? Oh man, it's just the drink. I didn't always hit the gin. There were times when I fit in. I can't tell you how I tried. Did I tell you my cat died? Would you like to ease my mind? Would you like to feel sublime? Talk for hours and never stop. Chop your head off, be a lighter person, brighter person, nicer, but you've heard it all before. So ding dong, there's the doorbell, hello man in red. He's gonna make you all well, get you into bed. But hey now, you don't feel better as you drift and slowly rise. Maybe this smooth jet setter lied and you died. Or something like that. Namapal. I don't know how that's pronounced. I wanted to do another justice. I wanted to move on in to the next part of the justice course I enrolled in yesterday. So, if you didn't hear, yesterday morning, April Fool's Day, before I got out of bed, I remembered that a couple years ago, I'd heard that Harvard has these free online courses you can take. And I was looking into it a little bit out of curiosity, and at the time, so this was a couple of years ago, and I saw that there was a justice one, and for some reason I looked it up on YouTube, and I found 5 free lectures on the justice course, and I was really interested in them, and I watched them all. And yesterday I came across the justice one again, and so when I enrolled for the justice one, right? It's free, and all it really needed was my name and email. And then if you want, you can upgrade to the paid version. I think it's like $180 for that course anyway. And it's like 25 lectures, and then you get some of the reading material, and I think you just don't get the graded assignments and quizzes. They're the graded assignments and tests, unless you pay for the certificate version. But which you always could do if you want to, like once you go through it, I think. And it's always prompting me so far. But I watched the first 2 videos, and they were the ones I saw online on YouTube a couple years ago. So the first 2 lectures. So I've seen the first 5 lectures of this course before, and I suspect they probably have previews of a lot of their courses on their YouTube channel, Harvard. So it's called like Harvard X, letter X, and yeah. So I started that yesterday. I did some of the reading, and I did take a quiz of 3 questions after the first lecture, and I only got 1 of them right. But I should have taken some notes as I was going. But I was drawing while I was listening. So I think I might just, when I do it from here on out, I think I might just actually just actually take notes and dedicate the time I do those courses to those courses specifically instead of doing it in the background. So I watched the second lecture, and then I didn't move on from there, but I think I might, after I get off here, I might move on to, like, there might be another quiz, maybe more reading, and then the third lecture. And I think I have till October until the course expires on me. But I figured it's free. Why not get a little taste of a Harvard education? And there were a lot of really cool courses listed there. I think it says on the, here I have it pulled up. It says it's like over, yeah, it's like, I think if you Google free Harvard online courses, Harvard University is devoted to excellence in teaching, learning, and research, and to developing leaders in many disciplines who make a difference globally. Harvard faculty are engaged with teaching and research to push the boundaries of human knowledge. And then it says browse over 100 online courses from Harvard for free and enroll today. There's one called The Opioid Crisis in America, Architectural Imagination, Data Science, R Basics, Religion, Conflict, and Peace, Introduction to Computer Science, Introduction to Game Development. Let me hit Browse Courses. Ooh. Free online courses from Harvard University. Introduction to Computer Science, Web Programming with Python and JavaScript, Introduction to Artificial Intelligence with Python, Introduction to Programming with Python, Exercising Leadership, Foundational Principles, the art, this one intrigued me because I'm so terrible at this. The Art of Persuasive Writing and Public Speaking. See, now I might try to blow through this justice one and do that one, because that sounds like something I need desperately. The Art of Persuasive Writing and Public Speaking. I need that yesterday. Game development. I don't know nothing about games, but people might be interested in that. Programming, Architectural Imagination. Justice is the one I'm in, which I like so far very much. Contract Law, From Trust to Promise to Contract. Principles of Biochemistry, Human Anatomy, Musculoskeletal Cases, Computer Science for Lawyers, Religion, Conflict, and Peace, Data Science, Visualization, Calculus Applied with an exclamation point. Introduction to Probability. That's the fifth dimension, guys. We just learned that. Innovating Healthcare, Productivity Tools and Data Science. Yeah, and the list goes on. It just, I could keep scrolling. And in the fifth dimension, you might see that I do in some cases. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let me finish this panel before I go stampeding into the next. I just had a flash of Monty Python's Meaning of Life pop into my head. The sex ed class in that movie. Where he's like mounting his wife as a demonstration for the students. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I've been thinking about that movie a lot lately. The Meaning of Life. I love The Meaning of Life. That was on a lot in my house growing up. I've probably seen that movie a dozen times. What if I do... I can't say the line that had popped into my head from Meaning of Life because this is a modestly clean show. No, I just try to be mindful of younger people that might try to watch this. Try to. You know what I need? I need a cup of tea. I'll be right back. I'm going to heat that water one more time. Wow! I'm just going to roll my brush across my my page. My ink laden brush. Okay. So that water is boiling. I hit it a while ago. I don't know if it was still hot enough. Time is a confounding thing here at the art table. I never would have thought I'd been on here for almost 2 hours working on this page so far. So, this is how you make a comic, allegedly. This is how you draw this panel, in particular. This is how you ink this panel. You go out into the hallway, heat up water, ramble to yourself on worldwide broadcast. Just kind of mumble under your breath for 2 hours. And voila! Ain't no thing. If I can do it, you can do it. If you can do it, maybe you can train your dog to do it. And if your dog can do it, you'll be the filthy, stinking rich guy with a magic dog. Magic dog. Magic dog. Congratulations on the magic dog that you have. I'm so happy for you. And your magic dog. You're so lucky your magic dog does tricks. My magic dog just sits there. My magic dog just chews my watches. We had a beagle when I was a kid. I've told this story before. We had a beagle when I was like 13. And it would get real, like, homesick or something. I don't know, like, homesick. It lived with us, but I don't know. It would get like real sad at night or something. It would just like howl all night. So my dad got this idea that if it heard a ticking clock, if you put a ticking clock by its bed when it was sleeping, or when it was like it was time for it to go to sleep, it would hear the ticking, and the ticking would remind it of its mother's heartbeat, so it wouldn't stay up howling all night so much. Well, my dad knew that I had an alarm clock, so he said, "Give it your alarm clock, and I'll wake you up in the morning." Well, it chewed up my alarm clock. I think it chewed up 2 alarm clocks in a row of mine with that idea. And then it's like, also at that time, I used to wear a watch, and I had taken it off one day and set it on a table. Well, the dog got a hold of it and chewed up that watch as well. I was like, clearly this dog does not want me to know what time it is. It ate up every timepiece I owned, me specifically. We didn't have that dog too long. I think we gave it to somebody else. It was a hard dog to live with. parents have had their current dog, Riley, for I think since about 2005. Maybe later than that. Maybe 2007. It's been about 15 years. It's a little Pomeranian something or other mix. He looks like a little fox. He's kind of yappy, but he's a good dog. You know, I was thinking about it recently. One day when I was over there at my parents' house, I was like, I've never been much of a pet guy. Like I was talking trash about the cat that lives here. My roommate's cat that I'm now cat sitting now that they're on a trip to Israel. Like I've never been too fond of cats or dogs. I certainly don't want any of my own. But it's like when I'm at my parents' house and I'm petting Riley, I'm always like, what a lovely dog. Riley's probably the first pet I've ever come to like actually love. But I've known Riley for, like I say, 15 years. I'm gonna go get that cup of tea in a moment. There's a soggy old tea bag at the bottom of this mug. Okay. Bonk. I'll be right back. Just going into the hallway to pour that. Tea is served, baby. Popeye spinach. Oh yeah, in my Smoky Mountains, Great Smoky Mountains mug. One of my favorite family vacations ever. I love the mountains. We went to the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania one year. And then I think it was the next year we went to the Smoky Mountains. And I love the mountains. I would love to live in the mountains, I think. I meant to do this earlier. Cups. Okay, I did it on this panel. Okay. If I lived in the mountains, I'd probably have been mauled by a bear by now. Oh, speaking of bear maulings, I was just talking about one of my favorite movies recently. We were talking about Chris Farley. And I was like, oh, you know what my favorite Chris Farley movie is? Is Almost Heroes. With Matthew Perry's in that too, from Friends. And they're like, they're trying to like colonize westward or something. They're trying to like they're going on an expedition to the west, and they're trying to beat Lewis and Clark. And Matthew Perry is, and his partner is this I don't know, he's supposed to be some kind of manner of help, is Chris Farley. And I don't remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but they get this team together, this crew together, and they're on the move westward, and they're trying to beat Lewis and Clark to the punch. And it's just kind of Chris Farley style humor in that era. There's a bear mauling. There's a scene with the eagle. They're trying to get this eagle egg to help somebody get nursed back to health. There's like an Indian Native American recipe that they need, where they need an eagle egg, and Chris Farley has to go get it. And he's climbing to the top of this tree to get this eagle egg, and he keeps getting attacked by the eagle at the top of the tree. And it's this hysterical scene. The bear mauling is really good too. Matthew Perry agrees to help Chris Farley learn how to read, and there's this scene where he's like, okay, this is the uppercase letter A. He writes it on a chalkboard, a little tiny chalkboard, and he holds it up for him. He's like, this is the uppercase A. Ah, the uppercase A. Like, like admiring it, like, oh, looks pretty good. That's A. And then he's like, okay, now this is the lowercase a. And he hands it to him, and he's like, the lowercase a. Oh, he starts getting all like overwhelmed. And Matthew Perry is just like taken aback by it. He's like, oh, and it's like this big scene that he's making about, there's like, he's just like groaning and moaning and getting all worked up over the fact that there's a second A. And then it's like, okay, and then now this is the uppercase B. And he's like, stop Enough with the learning today. Do you want my head to explode? As you can imagine, Chris Farley might say and do. Dude, have you seen that dude? That guy was an animal. Like, I think it was like David Letterman or something. David Letterman introduces him, and he comes running out onto the stage and runs around the audience like a madman. And he starts doing cartwheels and like runs out of the studio, runs around the whole studio or something, and then finally like takes his seat. But I'm like, holy cow, that dude had. I mean, that guy had energy, and he was something else, man. It's a shame he died. I mean, the death and the energy, I'm sure, can both be traced back to cocaine. But man, that guy was something else. And I think Almost Heroes was his last movie too before he died. But that was a great one. That got a lot of play in our house. But yeah, to see him like doing some unscripted, unrehearsed cartwheels on a talk show, like, dude, I can't do a cartwheel, and I'm like 135 pounds. Well, no, I'm 140 pounds, and I haven't been able to do a cartwheel in like 15, 20 years. 20 years at least. Here, let me move this way. This is something I see Doug TeNapel do a lot. He does a lot of these silhouette panels, which he got from Hank Ketchum, who did Dennis the Menace. If you ever see the Sunday paper Dennis the Menaces, I want to get me a collection of those. Look, I'm just going to look into it real quick. Dennis. Did you know there's a UK Dennis the Menace too? I have some UK Dennis the Menace comics that I bought in Ireland when I was in second grade. It was the first time that's when I found out about UK Dennis the Menace and his dog Gnasher. Let's see. Dennis the Menace. Hank Ketchum. I just want to see if there's a good, like a complete collection or something. It's probably like 77 volumes or something. Let's see there. There are at least 2 volumes out. I'm seeing 2 volumes. Holy smokes, and they're big. Oh yeah, there's a bunch. Well, maybe someday. I have the first 2 collections of Pogo comics. Pogo by Walt Kelly. Those are just so beautiful. I think there's a projected 12 volumes. So usually, like the Dennis the Menace one that I was just looking at, I've seen Peanuts collections. Usually it goes by year, like this one does to Pogo. So this is 1951 to 1952. This is volume 2. It's called Bonafide Balderdash. The first one is called Through the Wild Blue Yonder. Or no, Through the Wild Blue Wonder. Look at this. This is why the show takes so long sometimes. It's like this guy did a strip every day this whole year. Well, a strip for every day, I should say. But they're so beautiful. And the language in these, it's all like New Orleans-y. So it's kind of like, it's got funny spelling and funny ways of talking in it. And I mean, Walt Kelly is just masterful. It's very whimsical and cartoony. It's very alive for being black and white comics on a page. So I don't know. Let me see. Why, you bump-headed bull-bat, Albert's poem is best. And I say, you're a old puddin'-eared octopus. The worm is better. I'll peel the paint off in your porch, you peanut-pulled pterodactyl. I'll fricassee the fat out in your ball-headed bean, you. They're fighting. They're getting all heated. And then at the end, it's got all the Sunday strips in color. You say you was got a way to make us each $1 million? Absolutely. But yeah, that's very oh, that's so wonderful. The one I need to get for myself, I bought it for my roommate one Christmas, was the Complete Calvin and Hobbes. I have some Calvin and Hobbes books here, but I bought my roommate the Complete Calvin and Hobbes. One of these days I gotta get me that. Ain't nobody can touch Bill Watterson and Calvin and Hobbes. And one of these days, I'm going to scan a bunch of my favorite Calvin and Hobbes strips, and I'm going to scan them, print them out, trace them, and ink over the pencils and try to match Bill Watterson's inking hand. I use the same brush as Bill Watterson. The Winsor & Newton Series 7 Kolinsky Sable brush. Size 3. Well, I use a size 2 oftentimes as well. And I own some other sizes, but I haven't used them yet. Like 5 is too much brush. 1, not enough. Not enough, poo. I was saying earlier, I sound like Eeyore. Okay. Here's Bonehead's eye, which you wouldn't necessarily actually see through his silhouette like that, but it's a nice it'll be a nice graphic. Oh. It's like I'm willing to break rules like that, or I don't know. I know I see examples of it once in a while where it doesn't quite make sense, but it'll communicate to a reader, and it'll either help clarity or it'll not hurt clarity. Of the image. As long as it doesn't break an image, and I don't have a problem with it. And by break an image, I just mean if I was reading this book, it would stop. I would have to stop and figure out what I was looking at a little bit. That's one thing I try to think about as I go through inking these pages the most. I'm always trying to think about, like, is that going to be clear to the reader? Like, if you're flipping through this book, the last thing I want someone to do is stop on the art and like puzzle over it at all. Because if they're stopping on it because they're reading it or they're admiring an image, that's welcome, right? But you don't want somebody to stop on the art and have to figure out. You don't want to really take them out of the story, and you certainly don't want to leave a bad taste in their mouth before they turn the page. You know what I mean? So as I'm inking, you know what? Was it yesterday or the day before? This one. I realized after I ended the stream that I had messed something up. I called it out when I did it, but then I forgot to fix it. So this part of the throne, it should carry through. You should see the rest of this behind him here. So maybe after I finish this page, maybe I'll proceed to fix that. Well, it's not tragically noticeable, I guess. Like, a lot of people might not notice that, but a lot of people might, and it would do just that, take them out, like, be like, wait, that isn't right. That doesn't look right. This guy messed up. And then they're out of the story, you know what I mean? What kind of hack? What kind of hack, they'd say? They'll be like, I knew it was a good idea to read this by a fireplace. What in the Sam Hill? One of these is good, one of these is bad. There we go. I should throw out the whoa! I should throw out the bad one, right? Okay. So I use these a lot for my white Jelly Roll, Sakura Jelly Roll pens. I have some unopened ones somewhere too. And then I use this a lot, the Presto Jumbo Correction pen from Pentel. But this is better for big white. Even though it says fine point, it goes on pretty, it's a pretty thick point to start with, actually, usually. If I need finer stuff, I usually try to rely on the Jelly Roll pens. I will say when I use them on my sketchbooks, with my sketchbook drawings that I post to Twitter and Instagram, link in the description, I will usually use those Sakura Jelly Roll pens, and then when I try to ink over, or color over them in marker, you can usually see where they were through the marker. I'm sure, I'm almost certain that coloring over the Pentel, the jumbo correction pen, I'm almost certain there's barely any coloring over that in markers. But I don't think I've even tried it, but I don't think I want to. I mean, I could experiment with it, but I wouldn't want to try it out on one of my sketchbook drawings for the first time. Anyway, you can usually kind of make it work as long as it's not like a big obnoxious cover-up with the Sakura Jelly Roll pens. But you can usually see it's like lighter wherever you do the marker over it. But for these black and white pages, you got nothing to worry about. When I was a kid, I would be too precious about my artwork, and if I messed up, I wouldn't like how it would look with whiteout all over the page. It would look ugly to me, so I would have to start over from scratch, like trace it or whatever, and start over from scratch until I got the page perfect or something. It was probably part of the reason I never finished anything. But it's like once I scan in this page and color it, you know, like adjust the levels and everything goes to black and white evenly. And if something doesn't, you can always chop it out or, you know, paint over it or whatever and color it. It's not a big deal. And you know what? I like I like seeing the brush strokes and the fingerprints, and like here's where I dropped my brush. Like, I'm glad that's all it did right there. But you know, then I've got whiteout and coffee stains and like fingerprints all over the place on these pages, and it's kind of cool to have to be working in this tactile medium and just have look like they're lived in, you know what I mean? I think that's kind of a neat way to think about it. These pages are lived in, they have a life. There's a page that did I do it yet? I think it's upcoming. Let me see. I think it's one of the pages sitting here, if I'm not mistaken, where there's a hole in it because I set it on my scanner. Yeah. After I penciled it, I set it on my scanner, And then I knocked the door, and the door, part of the door punctured the page. And you know, when I ink over it is straight through the page. It did go straight through the page, but I smoothed it out, and I don't want to pop it open again to show you, but since it's so modest at the moment. But then I can ink over that, and it won't be a problem. Now, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this panel anyway? This looks like it goes to black, but then this looks like it's supposed to be black. It's like inner turmoil, kind of shorthand. What was I thinking there? What was the idea? Maybe this I want strokey and this straight black. Now I didn't put X's on any of it like I usually do where I indicate black. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but we'll solve it somehow. Is that tomorrow's page? That's tomorrow's page. Well, I'll be gosh darned, I'm there. Isn't that funny? The page I brought up out of my 250 pages. The one I'm doing tomorrow. But, yeah. So this comic is kind of alive, in a way. I mean, I don't know. In my head, it's just, well, these pages have lives of their own. I like, I just like the tactileness of it, whereas before, when I was a kid, I used to be like, it's smudgy. That it's like, how pristine do you want these pages to be? And why? It's like if I did a whole 250-page book with no mistakes, first of all, that would take me 1,000,000 years to do one book. Second of all, whatever second point I was going to make, it's just like, who's got the time to worry about that sort of thing? It's like, if you look at Bill Watterson's original Calvin and Hobbes strips or Walt Kelly's original Pogos, like, I think Doug TenNapel was showing off, he has an original Pogo on his wall in his office. And he was showing it off one day where it's got, he's like, look, you can see all the whiteout and the pencil marks, and it's like it gets all cleaned up before it goes to it went to the papers. You never know, but he's, you know, his comics aren't all pristine as they look. They get cleaned up. It's not magic. Anyone can do this. And I mean it. I'm like, the big thing I want people to take away from this channel is to see that if I can do it, any idiot can do comics. They just have to dedicate themselves to following through. So write it. Look, I didn't even wait until my script was perfect. First of all, I realized last month or 2 months ago there was a big glaring continuity error at the end of the book. And I got to a page, I was like, wait a minute. I was inking a page a couple months ago, and I was like, wait, is that how I put that in the book? That's going to mess up the whole end of the book. So I had to do like an emergency, like, outline and figure out how I was going to edit the end of the book. So before I finish inking this book, I have to redo a bunch of pages. And I tried to let my edit include, because I've already penciled the whole book. I tried to edit it so I would need to get rid of as little as possible of the work I already have done. If I need to, to tell it better, if I need to get rid of more, so be it. I can put, no, I don't know if I'll do that, but I could put the original ending at the back of the book and explain why it didn't work and why I had to redo it. I might put something about that in there, or maybe in an art book, because I want to make an art book too. I'm kind of slowly working on an art book, Art of Ryan O'Connor kind of thing, with a bunch of my daily sketchbook drawings over the past 4 years. A lot of which you can see in the thumbnail art of these videos, but also you can see on my Instagram and Twitter. It's pretty much all I post on Instagram and Twitter, my daily drawings. I haven't done one today because I took a 4-hour nap. Unexpectedly. It was one of those naps where I woke up and saw the clock said 8 o'clock, and I thought it was 8 in the morning. I'm like walking around, I'm like, wait a minute. It's really dark for 8 in the morning. It's like, oh, it's 8 p.m. still. Cool. Like all the stuff I meant to do today came rushing back to my head. I was like, oh, I haven't done a show. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. Oh, look at this. I didn't do this little triangle here. I need to get a point on my brush to be able to do that, though. There we go. One more panel, everybody. Oh, wait, I didn't finish this one either. This is the page of unfinished panels. That's what I call it. That's its little pet name. Let's see. One more panel. I like this panel. I'm hungry. It's 11:30. Cripes. 2.5 hours. Usually a page runs about 2 hours for me to ink it. If I get to gabbing too much or showing off Pogo comics or whatever, sometimes it takes longer. Or when I have like a lot of black, like heavy black panels like that, or really detailed panels like that, it takes longer. Want to bump up his outline just a smidge, kind of set him apart from the background. Make him stand out. So am I going to bed after this? Since I just woke up from a 4+ hour nap? I don't think so. But what am I doing? I'll probably work on... Oh, I do want to do a little bit of that justice course. And then sketchbook drawing. Hopefully before I get to go to bed. A little bit of that. I've got some other stuff to do too. Here's his collar. Little drop shadow underneath. I don't like that touching that corner like that. There we go. That'll make it look a little less tangenty. I don't like having corners perfectly meet. If I can help it. Our lines go directly to a corner, except for an exception I'll make is Bonehead's teeth. Drop shadows under these bones. This little bone bow tie. Crossbones bow tie. It's like, come with me if you want to live. No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, give me the elixir. You can't have it. It's not yours. The main ingredient isn't his. I was saying yesterday, so I'm doing pages in batches of 10, like where I just bring 10 pages at a time into the room, sit them next to my desk. Once I get through with them, I move them into the finished pile of pages, and then I go to the unfinished pile of pages and I grab the next 10. And I was looking the other day at the next batch of 10, and it gets kind of spoilery. So, I mean, I've still got a few pages in this batch left to do yet, but I don't care about showing spoilers. I'm going to do every page on broadcast. I have so far, but I'm just saying there are spoilers that will be inked on this show eventually. You know, I when I first told people that I was going to be inking my comic online, a lot of people were telling me, yeah, but people will steal it. And it's like, how can they steal it though when this is all documented that I did this. This is my story, these are my characters. Here I am doing them all live on stage in front of people. It's like, good luck. Good luck stealing. Please don't test me on that, but I don't actually wish anyone luck with stealing my my content, my intellectual property. But I'm just saying, I don't think I have anything to worry about. Yeah, the thing I want to impart to people, it's like just do it. If you wanna make comics, if you wanna, don't wait for some studio to discover you or see the value of your work. Just start making your stuff. There's a million reasons to not start, to not do your thing. And one day you'll be 40 and have nothing to show for it. Yep. That's kind of my motivating thing. It's like I just want to have something to show, and I don't want anything to stop me from making my stuff anymore. So I'll do it, and if it never finds its place in the world, so be it. I'll at least have it for myself. And I'll know that whether or not I was able to pull it off by giving it my all. Oh, almost there. Just this carpet, I think. Oh, this is part of the door. Chamber door. And here's the carpet. The end of this little spear. I'll put a drop under the door. There we go. And that's how you draw page 135. Now you try at home. Denton Crux barging in with his devil guards. Here's an alien guard going, whoa! As this guy's pointing a trident at him. It's like, hey, you have something I want. It's like, oh, you can't have it. It's like, oh, you're going to give it to me, or I'm going to beat you up, or something like that. Now, how can I turn this broken camera back to me? Oh, so that's how I can turn this broken camera back to me. Now I get it. Well, one day I'll have a better setup again. Hopefully someday soon. That's the show. That's Ink the Book Show. I'll be back tomorrow doing another page at some point. And I've been thinking maybe I want to do some shows where I color my sketchbook drawings. Maybe I'll break up some of these page inkings with some other art at some point. It's a thought. I haven't done anything different on this channel in a long time, so that might be interesting. All right, but I'm gonna go move on to the next thing. Maybe get myself something to eat. That sounds like a good idea. Until tomorrow, goodbye, everybody. This has been Ink the Book Show with me, Ryan O'Connor.